You're watching Section 1 Boys Lacrosse on News 12 Varsity. Welcome to Bronxville for a Hudson Valley Top 10 matchup featuring the Broncos coming in at number 6 and the Panthers of Pleasantville, the fourth best team in the area. Hello everyone, welcome. Josh Noble, our producer, John Malone providing his broadcast assistance, and I'm David Resnick. 5 years ago, if you would have talked about a matchup between Pleasantville and Bronxville, there would have been a collective shrug in Section 1. Now, after 4 straight matchups in the Section 1 Class C title game, this is one of the premier rivalries in the area. Let's introduce you first to Pleasantville. They are led by Chris Keir in his 6th season, leading the Panthers to the last 2 Section 1 Class C championships. A player to look out for is Nolan McAndrew as he takes over the face-off duties in a full-time capacity as a senior. As for Bronxville, it's a decade for Tim Horgan out of Hen Hud. A win today would give him 150 in his varsity head coaching career. A player to look out for is Ara Atayan, a 4-year varsity player off to UNC. He will be the primary defensive focus for Pleasantville. Face-off's going to be a real big key in today's game as Nolan McAndrew in the green for Pleasantville digs in against Jerry Frost, a junior attackman. Very rare to see an attackman take the face-offs, but that is the status for Bronxville at this point. Just hoping to win 40% if they can, but McAndrew takes it cleanly, and Pleasantville can set up the first offensive possession of the game. Third best offense in Section 1, led by Brian Rita. All section from a year ago as the pull is still on the field as Cullen Dell off the wing goes low to high and misses the target. Pleasantville, 4-3 double overtime victory against Bronxville in last year's Section 1 Class C final. Bronxville using the same zone, and Chris Keir of Pleasantville expects another low-scoring game. Minute gone by into a scoreless first. Key for Pleasantville offensively, work the ball around, no unforced errors. Allow yourself to take these settled long possessions if that's what the defense is going to provide. This is Jack Howe dodging down the right alley, a sophomore already bound to Georgetown, as Pleasantville continues to work it around the perimeter in what appears to be new jerseys this year with the big, bright white numerals. Into the passing lane, a deflection as James Schwartz comes out, but then an interference call gives it right back to Pleasantville. Unsuccessful clear as McAndrew is still on the field after winning the opening faceoff. Rita, a lefty in 22. This is Lucas Cohen from X. He gets swarmed, gets around from the D, but cannot get a step as he tries to get around Jason Cushman. Averaging better than 13 goals per game, Pleasantville, after winning their first 4 of the season, they've dropped 2 in a row. One in overtime, obviously by a goal to Shoreham-Wading River. And then a goal loss 2 days ago against Somers, 9-8. A shot from the outside bounces over the cage from Declan McDermott. Just the second shot in this prolonged possession. That's 2 minutes and 30 seconds deep. You can tell the importance of this rivalry. It's a Thursday afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, and some Pleasantville students making the drive down here to Bronxville. Four straight wins for the Panthers in this rivalry. On the crease, it's Rita. He gets stuffed. A point-blank denial. James Schwartz robs Rita on the doorstep. And now the clearing opportunity for Logan Glick. Prior to the stick check, the action right in front of Tim Horgan. He will call time and preserve possession for Bronxville. Interesting start for the Broncos, 5-1, winners of 3 straight. Their only loss on the road against nationally ranked St. Paul's. They played that school down in Maryland as part of the One Love Spring Fest. The girls lacrosse coach here at Bronxville, Sharon Robinson, a cousin of Yardley Love, who is tragically killed her senior year at the University of Virginia, and the Bronxville school, both on the boys and girls side, participating in raising money for that foundation and also playing in games. If you remember, last year at Manhasset, Bronxville took on Syosset from Nassau County and lost that battle. Otherwise, a clean slate for the Broncos, taking down teams like Fox Lane, Staples on the road, a good squad out of Connecticut. So a bit uncertainty for Bronxville opening up the season, but through 6 games, a solid record and a pleasing beginning to the 2017 season as Bronxville begins its first year in the newly created Class D. Gray numbers on white jerseys for the first midfield line. It's Crawford weaving in, gets in front, misses wide. What a tremendous looking dodge by Mac Crawford, the 3-year starter as a junior. On the restart, Jerry Frost gets a touch, veteran on the attack. This is Crawford again, liking the matchup against the short stick of Ian Eslicker. A pick game behind the net. This is now Tarry. He won offensive MVP in that Section 1 championship game a season ago, even in a losing effort. Had a pair of goals last May. 7:35 to go, pushing in. Tarry misses wide. A race to where and when, and it's Pleasantville's Eslicker that's closest one to it. Eslicker, one of 2 3-sport athletes with football and basketball that followed up last spring's section championship with one in the fall and then the winter. Unsuccessful clear. Frost has it for Bronxville. Good defense around the midfield line, preventing Bronxville, or Pleasantville rather, from getting from defense to offense. Tim Driscoll, the big, tall junior, trying to shut off Ara Atayan, who creates separation and now starts his dodge from the top. He's sprinting down the right alley and has to turn as the slide comes from Greg Driscoll and it's rotated around to X. 6:30 to go first quarter. Scoreless between Bronxville and Pleasantville. These teams last year playing a pair of overtime games. First and only meeting this year because of the changes in class. Daskalaskis gets stripped. He loses it on the crease, and the junior Jack Fitzgerald can start the clear for Pleasantville, which is now successful and unsettled. A crank shot that gets deflected high from Jack Howe. As he stepped into the shot, it was Mac Crawford who was there to redirect. Lucas Cohen, converted midfielder, shifted to attack late last year, has it against Will Mays. 5:30 to go, first quarter, no score. Chris Keir through the first nearly 7 minutes, correct in his prediction. Shot from the outside is bounced on cage, and James Schwartz has been a huge reason why Bronxville is out to a 5-1 start. Unsettled for the Broncos. Nick O'Brien got handcuffed. Pleasantville trying to come the other way with James Danielle. Unsettled now for Pleasantville, racing in, and the bounce shot is over the frame. Declan McDermott shot it on the run, and it was well off target. Part of the key for Pleasantville is to play up-tempo and try to beat that Bronxville defense down the field. No score, but a 6-1 shot advantage for Pleasantville at this point, with under 5 minutes to go in a scoreless first quarter. Low catch for Cohen. Hounded there by Cushman, quickly on his hands. Right back to Cohen, looking to turn the corner against this zone. He whips a low line drive wide, and Brian Rita will start things up. All league as a sophomore, beg your pardon, all league as a freshman. All section as a sophomore, leading the area with 105 points on 80 goals. If he was a junior, you're probably looking at an All-American season. But when you favor the accolades of the juniors and seniors, it's tough to crack. That's a rocket in the corner. McDermott steps down into space and blasts one to the upper right 90 for a 1-0 Pleasantville lead. An absolute rocket of a shot, perfectly placed by McDermott, and it's got to be that type of way if Schwartz is going to have the opportunity to line it up. So Nolan McAndrew against Jerry Frost. And Frost has this for Bronxville. So splitting face-offs early, that is going to be something to watch for as Bronxville looks to tie, trailing 1-0. Albergine comes in, sharp angle, he ties it up. Ryan Albergine, the unassisted goal down the left alley.
And that's a goal for Ryan Albergine, tying the score at 1 with 3:22 left in the first quarter.
We're tied at 1 with 3:22 remaining. On Monday at Fordham Prep, a 10-9 victory. Albergine tied the game with 2:20 to go and then had the game winner on an invert move from X. Back with the program after a year away, and as a junior, inserted as a first-line midfielder. So after more than 8 minutes without a goal, 2 in about 30 seconds, and Bronxville has back-to-back possessions. Sharp angle. Frost looked for the post. Jack Fitzgerald held his ground, and it's out of bounds, sticking with the Broncos. Albergine inverting and drilling the back of the net. He's got both for the Broncos. He has welcomed himself to this Pleasantville rivalry in a big way. 2-1 Bronxville. .220 to go, first quarter. This is an offensive onslaught. Bronxville wins a couple of face-offs. Albergine puts it in the back of the net. Successful formula early here in the first quarter for Bronxville. Play on call. A violation against Bronxville. McAndrew picks it up. A little bit unsettled. McAndrew dodges in around the defense and scores. We are tied up with 2:06 to go, first quarter. Pleasantville trying to make it 5 in a row against Bronxville. A regular season and section final win each of the last 2 years. Picked up by Cohen, right along the restraining line. Feeding the crease, a low pass gets beyond McDermott. It's backed up, and Schwartz has it. James Schwartz, a senior captain, all-league a season ago as he split time with Andrew Harwood. Early in the year, depending on how they warmed up, would determine who would start. Eslicker could have been called a push with possession. Instead, Frost loses the ball, and it's picked up by Crawford. And then towards the end of the year in the playoffs, there was a set rotation as to who would start the first half and who would start the second. But when you think about how small of a school Bronxville is, to have two quality goalies like that, what an envious situation that other coaches thought that Tim Horgan had. But at the same time, it's the inevitable situation where you've got two great guys. How do you find proper time for both? Approaching a minute to go, first quarter. Frost from X, a defender on his back. Keeps it with the righty cradle goal line extended as Howe comes over to double team. Albergine likes this short stick matchup. He's already got two. This time he feeds it away, and Fitzgerald got a piece. George Daskalakis had a good look on the doorstep, but it remains 2-2. Daskalakis with experience playing on the attack last year in a reserve role, now stepping into a full-time position. Ball is loose. Driscoll battling for it. It's picked up by Colin Dell, the 3-year starting junior. He surveys his option, and he finds the speedy Howe. 7 seconds to go unsettled. Time winding down in the first, and Schwartz makes the chest-high save to finish off play in the opening frame. It's been one of Section 1's best rivalries. They have played close matchups over the last couple of years, and the same could be said through one quarter of play. Bronxville and Pleasantville battling for the only time this season. They are tied at 2 with 1 quarter in the books on News 12 Varsity. Start of the second quarter as we welcome you back to Bronxville High School. Frost had it, or Crawford rather. Yard sale as he lost the stick, but a fortuitous bounce for the Broncos as they even up the faceoffs at 3 apiece. Unsettled. Crawford gets decked. Flag is down. Ball on the crease. Fitzgerald makes the stop. But penalty assessed here in the second quarter.
That's an illegal body check on Green, 1 minute in the box.
Illegal body check, a 1-minute personal foul is called against Tim Driscoll. First EMO for either side as we've played 29 seconds into the second. Josh Noble, our producer. I'm David Resnick. John Malone providing us broadcast assistance. Rainy earlier. Bit overcast here in southern Westchester as Terry unleashes a shot well high. Tim Horgan saying that this is a great rivalry. Mandatory crossover game this year, and both coaches saying if it wasn't mandatory, we'd still play each other anyway. Because frankly, if it wasn't such a great rivalry, the opponent is the type of team that you would look to schedule. So it's perfect. Great small school lacrosse and teams that have been ranked in the Tri-State Top 20 during their section title runs respectively. Pleasantville extending it out. Ryan Drillock, typically a midfielder, grabbing a pole here and playing man down. Daskalakis whistles a shot high as Bronxville is still a man up. Penalty released as McDermott comes racing in, back to 6-on-6. Just a pair of shots for Bronxville on the EMO as Aaron Atayan looks to invert against Eslicker. Atayan pivots right on net. Fitzgerald in perfect positioning to make the stop. And a whistle stops play. It's a call against the Broncos as the Panthers' man-down unit stands its ground. Now the clear opportunity for McDermott coming off of an all-section sophomore campaign. A threat in the clearing game for his athleticism and ability to run. 9:45 to go until the break. Here's Rita, dominant to the left, spins back to the strong side, and takes a pop near the circle. He got dispossessed, as I believe it was Cushman that provided the punishing blow. Quickly the other way for the Broncos. After a touch in the box, they slow it down to substitute through midfield. Atayan is on. Albergine is on. No real second midfield line for the Broncos, especially with the season-ending injury to Andrew Murray. No matter as Ryan Albergine has a first-half hat trick.
3-2 with 9:05 left in the second quarter.
Well, if he hadn't already settled in to Bronxville after his game-winning goal earlier this week against Fordham Prep, he has introduced himself to this Pleasantville rivalry in a huge way with all 3 Bronxville goals here in the first half. 3-2 is the score. 3 minutes gone by. McAndrew picks it up for Pleasantville. 4-3 edge in faceoffs for the Panthers as they can set up on offense for the first time. Jake Coleman, the freshman, 6 in green, working with Rita. Cullen Dell has yet to substitute. Now he's looking towards the sideline. Shot off target. James Schwartz with 3 first quarter saves, including 1 in the final seconds. That's a sharp angle look for James Danielle. He'll run on this midfield line with McDermott and McAndrew. Really aren't set lines for Pleasantville this year. About 7 different players can run in the midfield. Smaller roster in number, but pretty much everyone plays for Pleasantville. $18 are listed, and at least 17 play a significant role. Cohen is dispossessed, but he picks it right back up. Cushman has been playing good defense there. A feed to the crease, out of the reach of McAndrew. It bounces harmlessly to Schwartz. Cohen picks up the loose ball. He's then stripped. Good play by Jack Kiefer, the junior short stick defensive midfielder, and he brings it into the offensive zone. Unsettled for Bronxville. Atayan, such a darty player. You can see his bursts of speed even in small quarters. 4-year varsity guy bound for UNC. His commitment coming all the way back in his freshman year. He'll have a brand new home field to play on when he reaches Joe Bresci's club. At X, an advantage for Frost. Can't turn back to the inside. 3-2 Bronxville, second quarter. 6:33 to go until halftime. And Ryan Albergine has all 3 goals for the home team. McDermott and McAndrew, the 2 tallies for the team on the road. Albergine across the crease. Low shot, rings off the pipe. Rebound is picked up by Crawford. Daskalakis rung the iron behind Fitzgerald. Great passing in front, and the put away for Crawford. Bronxville is opening up a 2-goal lead here at home. $5:50 to go, first half, 4-2. Serious bull dodge for Crawford as he got to the front of the goal. Pleasantville has surrendered the last 2 goals, but they win the faceoff. Low to high, McDermott, originally committing to Holy Cross of the Patriot League, but has since changed his mind as he is bound for Georgetown. 5:20 remaining. Pleasantville, about 9 minutes without a tally. Right alley dodge, Howe, overhead release. Over the reach of Schwartz. Second shot on this possession, the only 2 attempts so far of this quarter. Possession time has been limited for Pleasantville. They trailed in last year's section final 2-0 at halftime before tying the game at 3 and winning 4-3 in double overtime. A pass on the crease is through the middle. Exactly the type of unforced error Chris Keir did not want to see against the zone defense that will test your patience. Unsettled for Bronxville, up by 2. Overhand release. Dylan James missing the target. Short stick defensive midfielder. Feeling a bit empowered there by that unsettled situation. Tim Horgan was coached by Vin Savastano during his high school career at Hen Hud. Savastano brothers would go on to have great success at John Jay, replacing the regime of Bob Keir, the father of Chris Keir, the Pleasantville head coach, and his father Bob, a Yorktown grad, the defensive coordinator and assistant coach that can't slow down Albergine. What a day for Ryan. 5-2 Broncos. That's a hold against Pleasantville. Crawford with a step down the right alley. Driscoll was there to deter him. Here's Terry. Up top for Frost. The attackman will take a run from the top of the box. 3 minutes to go first half. 3-goal lead for Bronxville. They've scored the only 3 of the second. Off the pipe. Albergine was looking for his 5th. Here's Fitzgerald out of his crease. Unloads an on-target pass. Pleasantville unsettled. McDermott stutter step. Explodes down the right alley, but the defense is there to slow him down. McDermott inverts against the short stick. Up top, Cohen has his shot deflected. A looping ball ends up to Swartz, and he's up the field for the clear. The long stick midfielder, Nick O'Brien, surging down the right side, away from the stick checks of Cohen, who gets stuck on defense. But the former midfielder should feel comfortable playing D. Charlie McPhee runs on the field, the long stick midfielder for Pleasantville. Second straight year playing lacrosse after playing baseball his freshman year. Has many friends on this team and joined the fun in a section winning team a year ago. Started towards the end of last season playing both close and LSM. And so after spending the first quarter shutting down or locking off at Tayin, it's now Albergine that has the short stick of Lucas Cohen matching his every step. Albergine gets hit, loses the ball. And a flag is down. 67 seconds to go.
That's a slash on Pleasantville. 1 minute in the box with 1:07 remaining in the second.
It's a slash and a timeout. 1:07 to go. Man upcoming for Bronxville, leading 5-2. Third straight game for Pleasantville that they've experienced a slow start. And if you ask Chris Keir candidly why that is, frankly and sadly, he points to the untimely death of Quinton Lupo, a Pleasantville senior that passed away last week. Pleasantville, small community, a tight-knit community. And Chris Keir saying that, frankly, his kids have been, and rightfully so, affected by the loss of their classmate. The wake was on Tuesday. The funeral yesterday. They had a game against Farmingdale originally scheduled for last week, postponed because of the untimely news. And perhaps we're seeing it again today, despite the magnitude of this rivalry and the importance of the game. Pleasantville once again coming out a bit flat. Even though they did score the first goal of the game, they have been outscored since 5-1 against a Bronxville team that Tim Horgan says is playing with more drive and more passion. And he points to the senior leadership as having changed the mindset a little bit. Tim Horgan candid in his observation that Pleasantville the last couple years in the section championship just wanted it a bit more. And he's trying to get that type of attitude back into his program as they vie for a state championship in Class D. And without really handicapping the field, if you're a state contender in C and you drop to D, you'll be in the conversation by default. They won it all in 2014 in Class C, becoming just the third Section 1 program to win a state title. Sharp angle shot and another post. Fitzgerald follows it up with a save. First it was Terry off the iron, and then Albergine was denied. At least 3 posts in the first half. Bronxville gaining possession with 10 seconds to go and using its second and final timeout of the first half. It's interesting, if you ask Pleasantville who their rivals are, you have Briarcliff because of the geography. They point to John Jay, a team in Class B that they have not beaten and want to. And then you have Bronxville. And when you play in the section final for 4 straight years, when you play tightly contested games, when you play a team that you respect but healthily don't like, that's how you build a rivalry. It's been incredibly organic. It's come through competition, not proximity. Very little to do with geography or any type of crossover. When you play in high-stakes games and you split 4, thrown down the field, Eslicker intercepts. McDermott has it at the end of the first half. Big-time second quarter for the Broncos. Ryan Albergine with 4 of the 5 for Bronxville as the home team takes a 5-2 lead into the break. Halftime in Southern Westchester on News 12 Varsity. Second half is underway, and Bronxville is doing more than holding its own at the faceoff X. In fact, they have split the 10 faceoffs right down the middle. Josh Noble's our producer. I'm David Resnick. John Malone with us as well from Bronxville High School in southern Westchester. One of the best small school lacrosse rivalries. Check that. One of the best lacrosse rivalries, period, in Section 1. Right up there with, in terms of the area, Murphy Cup is at the top. Yorktown, John Jay. Iona Prep, Fordham Prep. What makes this rivalry so great, as Pleasantville earns the backup, is that they've played in 4 straight Section 1 Class C finals. Bronxville took the first 2. As McDermott spins, fires, and scores. Good start for Pleasantville, cutting the deficit to just 2. 10:51 to go in the third. We're just underway. And Declan McDermott finds the back of the net. That's a hold against Pleasantville. Pleasantville trailing by 2 now after scoring the first goal of the third. Albergine checked by Driscoll. Flag is down. Here comes Bronxville. It's on the turf. And the Broncos are going man up for the third time. Unnecessary. Called against Greg Driscoll. So he's out for a minute. One of the better defensive players for Pleasantville is out. And so Ryan Drillock will pick up a pole. His brother Jack, All-American, now at Siena as a defender. McPhee knocked it down. Drillock sweeping it along the carpet. Atayan low to the ground, scoops up the GB. He takes a bump from McPhee as now Atayan goes flying off his feet. He dove under his own volition, and that automatically in high school is a turnover. Somewhere, I hope Gary Gate was watching. That was just instinct taking over as if he was in the backyard. Very illegal, but very awesome. Turnover, unsettled. Bronxville tally. It's Alston Terry. A side-winding blast to the twine. Extra pass from George Daskalakis. And the Broncos get one back. Face-off win for Jerry Frost. Tim Horgan wanted 40%. His team this year winning about 35%. They're better than 50 right now. Doubling up Pleasantville. Another flag is down. Lucas Cohen was offsides.
Pleasantville, that's a minute in the box with 9:01 left in the third. 30 seconds. Correction.
$8:50 to go, third quarter. Man up, 30 seconds for Bronxville. Frost circles. Atayan shut off, even with Pleasantville man down. Terry couldn't grip it. Driscoll kicking at it. Finally has the scoop. Cohen released from the penalty box. We're at even strength with Pleasantville in possession. Across the crease, Swartz knocks it down. Driscoll kicking at it again. Must like soccer. Brian Rita picks it up, haven't said his name in quite a while. Spinning back to the left and deflected down. Rita is quite the offensive force. He gets it back off the restart. McDermott has a pair, McAndrew with the other. That makes the Malone to my left quite happy. 7:40 to go, third quarter. Cohen against this zone of Bronxville that originated at Ward Melville. Tim Rotance, the former head coach at Shoreham Wading River, went to Ward Melville, adapted the zone, and then Tim Horgan, after playing Shoreham Wading River in the state tournament, adapted it from there. A lot of adaptations. But Tim Horgan, quick to give credit to Suffolk County, where it originated. Under 7 to go, third quarter. Eslicker. Goal line extended for Rita, dropping the stick, and Swartz making another save. Cushman picks it up. Clean exchange up to Glick. And now it's Kiefer. Unsettled in tight. Fitzgerald comes off of his line. Bronxville beat Shoreham Wading River back in 2014 in the state semifinals. Crawford, time and room, tracked beautifully by Fitzgerald. That victory prior to beating Cazenovia in 2014 was win 100 for Tim Horgan. Pleasantville stepping out of bounds, far sideline. And with a win today against Pleasantville, it would be 150 in a decade of coaching for the Hen Hud grad. 5:45 to go in the third. A goal for each team in this period. 6-3 Bronxville. The star is Albergine. From X, spins, and puts it right on cage. It's off of Fitzgerald's body, and the ball is still loose. Driscoll has it, being hacked at by Frost. And Fitzgerald, who continues to work on his clearing game, sends one to Jack Howe. Now it's McDermott. rolling off the defense. Drillock running on. Now it's Rita at the top. Off the pipe for McDermott. It ricochets over midfield. Not an over the back because it's a shot on goal. Loose ball push, play on. The call against Bronxville gives the Panthers possession. Play resumes at the spot of the foul. Not a free clear for the Panthers, although Rita makes easy work of that challenge. Rita scoreless. Arguably the best offensive threat for the Panthers. Sets up shop as a left-hander on the right wing. He'll exchange spots with Cohen. Pass deflected. Cushman picks it up. It's a ground ball battle. What a strategy there by Howe, who sweeps it to an open space and uses his speed. Now it's McDermott, right alley dodge. Schwartz makes this stop and covers up in the circle. James Schwartz has been spectacular today. He got off to a hot start and now has 5 saves. On a bounce to Albergine. Unsettled. On the doorstep, leaning in. No goal. Bronxville wants it to count.
No goal, push on Pleasantville, however.
He must have been pushed into the crease prior to the offensive player leaving his feet. And so the foul was before the shot. So no continuation there. The play has to stop because of the offensive player in the circle.
It's a 30-second penalty on Pleasantville for the push.
It's a push with possession against Cullen Dell. The Poles have been quite penalized today. 3¼ minutes to go in the third. Bronxville in control, and the man up again. Terry! That is a bullet. Time and room from the wing, and that was a howitzer to the back of the net. That had some heat. Bronxville taking advantage of man up. Largest lead of the night for Bronxville, 7-3 with 3:10 to go. This is Garrett Carney taking the faceoff against Jerry Frost, who has had a successful performance at the X. Wing play involved, and Cullen Dell is there. Both teams talking a lot about faceoffs. It has played a role. Chris Keir preserving possession, calling timeout with Howe tiptoeing the sideline with 2:52 to go in the third. So Pleasantville down to just a single timeout with more than a quarter to play. 7-3 the score, 2:52 left in the third. Out of the timeout, Pleasantville possession. It's a 4-goal deficit for the Panthers. Pleasantville operating against the zone. Rita catches in traffic, then retreats to the perimeter. Jake Coleman, an attackman, playing up top. A bounce shot on Swartz is fought off. McDermott had an open lane and looking to add to his 2-goal tally. Creative delivery for Drillock, but no one behind the goal for the Pleasantville backup. The Panthers turn it over with under 2 minutes to go in the third. Jack Kiefer ducks under pressure. Let's see if Bronxville tries to take some time off of these 90 seconds left in the third. Albergine against McDermott. Changing directions. Misses the frame. McPhee comes over. That's a late and high hit. Crawford never heard the whistle. Unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary roughness on Pleasantville. That's a 1 minute.
Just a 1 minute. Was not deemed to be a non-releasable. So once again, Ryan Drillock needs to pick up a pole to play man down. We mentioned Tom Rotans earlier, the former head coach at Shoreham-Wading River. His son, Tim, who was an All-American attackman that went to Maryland because they were a Class C and smaller school. I remember early in my tenure at News 12 Varsity that this all-world attackman would pick up the long pole and join man down. Opportunity for someone that gets checked at to apply the heat in the other direction. 20 seconds to go, third quarter. Man up for Bronxville. Fitzgerald the stop. Dropped the stick to meet the offering from Albergine. 6 seconds to go. Frost looking for the corner. Now 3 seconds left. Bronxville wants to hold to keep the man-up advantage into the fourth. Pleasantville goes for the double team, and Bronxville runs out of time with an empty crease. Atayan would not be denied, holding on to possession and carrying the EMO into the fourth. 2 in a row for Bronxville to end the period. It's a 4-goal lead for the Broncos. 7-3 in favor of Bronxville with 3 quarters played on News 12 Varsity. Fourth quarter starts with Bronxville man up for at least a couple of seconds, so that is why they have possession. As a sidewinding attempt for Alston Terry is off a defender. Ara Atayan hustles to the corner of the field. Josh Noble, our producer. I'm David Resnick here at Bronxville High School. John Malone providing us broadcast assistance. One of Section 1's best rivalries continuing here in Southern Westchester. The two-time defending Class C champs in Section 1, Pleasantville, taking on the team they beat the prior 2 seasons. In total, these two teams met 4 straight years for the Class C title. And that streak will come to an end as New York State installed a 4th division, and Bronxville can go after a Class D crown. George Daskalakis. It's 8-3 Bronxville.
A reminder, please visit the Bronco Barn and Grill. There are some hot dogs left to be sold, and you could use it for the athletic council. Thank you so much.
You've got to go back quite a few years to find a score as lopsided as this. Even the last title for Bronxville, as they went on to win the state in 2014, that was a come-from-behind victory in the section title that I believe was decided by 2 goals, if memory serves correct. I hope I'm somewhat close. I was there. 5 goals in Bronxville's favor. Pleasantville scored the game's first tally more than 8 minutes in. Bronxville has since scored 8 of 10. That's a left alley dodge and a rip for Declan McDermott. It's a hat trick for the junior as he tries to begin the comeback effort for the Panthers. Does Pleasantville have an answer at the face-off X? They'll use Garrett Carney there again against Jerry Frost. Bronxville doubling up Pleasantville. Whistle against the Panthers. Another face-off win for Frost. Tim Horgan wanted 40%. Jerry Frost says, I'll do better than that, and he has. And when you think about possession time, if you think about the way Bronxville wants to play, if defensively they're going to sit in a zone and drain clock defensively, if they could win possessions and play a slow down type of game and run when they can and use the athletes of Itaean and some of the other midfielders, it's been a successful formula for Bronxville in their most recent incarnation of this Bronco team that's now 10 years under Tim Horgan, with the last 6 seasons at least making it to the section finals. 9:45 to go. 4-goal lead for Bronxville. Broncos in no hurry. Here's the stall. Bronxville has to keep it in. Right alley dodge, and it sneaks by. Jerry Frost is heard from. Timely goal for the junior.
Correction, 9-4.
9-4 with 9:26 to go. Regulation. Bronxville's only loss to a nationally ranked St. Paul's team on the road. First ever game for Bronxville played in Maryland. They'll play at Briarcliff next, and then marquee matchups against Bridgewater Raritan, Mamaroneck, Somers, undefeated, at least for now, Lakeland Panis. For the first half, Mamaroneck head coach Jeff Barnard in attendance. Pleasantville has the Tigers coming up as well. Timeout called.
Bronxville calls timeout with 9:13 remaining in the fourth. Bronxville leads 9-4.
Someone in a white jersey called for the stoppage, and it was awarded. So 9:13 remaining, fourth quarter. 9-4, the lead for Bronxville as they look to end a 4-game losing streak to Pleasantville. Off the restart, Ara Atayan speeds into the box against Charlie McPhee. Atayan is definitely the type of player you want to have possession for his speed and toughness, especially in situations where you know the defense is looking to be aggressive. Here's Terry working to the front. Tosses one lightly to the circle. Atayan stepped in the crease. And Bronxville retreats, ready to defend. Jack Fitzgerald, the goalie, as a sophomore last year. Here he gets picked off. Daskalakis stuffs it in on the run. He was patient and waited for an angle before the junior dunked it home. It's a 10-4 Bronxville lead. It's the one area of Fitzgerald's game that needs improvement. Turnover in the clearing game gave Daskalakis a chance for goal number 2. Fitzgerald, as a sophomore, defensive MVP in last year's championship game. 19 saves as a May JV call-up. The starting goalie last year, Brendan Casey, had led Pleasantville to all those wins and such a great season, and unfortunately for him, suffering a concussion. And the need for Fitzgerald was there. Swartz stops McDermott, who already has a hat trick. Howe took his eye off of it as we transition to Twilight. Loose ball. Rita, no. He kept it in play, though. Glick playing defense as Rita a bit slow to get up. Crawford has it for Bronxville with 7:35 to go. Crawford inverts. A lot of responsibility on Crawford, Albergine, Atayan, that first midfield line with Andrew Murray now lost for the season with a separated shoulder. Cross crease, knocked down. Would have been another guy to rotate into the midfield. You're losing the leadership of a senior captain. Played just briefly on man up against Putt Valley 2 games ago, and that will be his only action of his senior year. Tough for any team to lose a star, as Howe whistles one wide. But when you're a small school, that's when a loss is magnified. After 4 straight wins to open the year, Pleasantville is staring at a 3rd straight loss in just their 2nd road game of the season. That's a picked off pass. O'Brien got his cross in the passing lane. A nifty flip to James that never quite got there. Transition the other way. Rita from his back. Schwartz was alert to make the stop. It's Pleasantville's ball out of the corner. Schwartz given a 5 count to race back between the pipes. Under 6 to go, 4th quarter. The deficit is 6 for Pleasantville. After slow starts against Shoreham-Wading River and Somers, Pleasantville recovered. Not the case today against a motivated Broncos squad. McDermott has been the offensive catalyst, and he hits the post on the inside of the goal line. A referee was right there and immediately called a good goal. Declan McDermott has his 4th. If you're Bronxville, it's a call you don't like, but a call that you can at least swallow, leading by 5 with 5 to go. You're not going to like anything about that, but you'll be able to shake it off if the lead does not change in the next 5:30. You know, this game was originally scheduled for 4:30, pushed to 5. O'Brien leads the charge. Terry gets one back. It's a low rip to the back of the net. Bronxville reclaims a 6-goal lead.
With 5:14 in the 4th remaining. 11-5.
Violation against Bronxville. Picked up by Danielle. Cohen near side. Cushman closed the gap. It's a ground ball battle as Cohen goes for the body, not the ball, against Will Mays. Coleman, as a freshman, looking aggressive. 4:36 to go, and Bronxville tacks on one more. Alston Terry unsettled. His 4th goal of the 2nd half. (12-5), and if we maintain the same margin under 2 minutes, we'll see the institution of a new rule where if the margin is 5, the referees do not have the automatic stall warning under 2 minutes. Basically protects the team in the lead from being viciously checked at by a team far behind. We've already seen some of the late game aggression from Pleasantville as McDermott can't put it on frame. It's either 4 or 5 goals the differential needed. It's a 7-goal game right now, and Rita puts one in late. Brian Rita's first of the game comes with 4:05 to go.
Pleasantville, 6.
Rita finally getting one in his favorite spot. Danielle coming off the wing. Momentum for Pleasantville. Cohen is stoned by the post. Bronxville making its claim, but it's Pleasantville closest to it where and when. Under 4 to go. Rita frees his hands. Schwartz denies him. Was saying earlier how this game was pushed back by 30 minutes after a pair of overtime games a year ago. Behind the play, Brian Rita called for unnecessary roughness.
1 minute in the box with 3:32 remaining in the fourth.
Albergine comes over for a word from Tim Horgan. Up 6 goals and a man. Broncos most likely will just work it around. Atayan shut off. Bronxville in no hurry. In the past, last year, overtime and close games, perhaps additional light would be needed, but we seem to be on pace to finish comfortably in twilight. Tim Horgan a couple years ago said, perhaps publicly, if not to me personally, but not privately, that it takes that second section title to really make a difference in your schedule. From the outside, one could be a fluke. When you win your second, that's when other teams want to play you, and that's been the case for Pleasantville. Now with teams like Glastonbury, a top 10 team out of Connecticut, calling them, a connection with Shoreham-Wading River and getting that game on the schedule, a matchup with Farmingdale of Nassau County, and even in section games like Mamaroneck and Mayapack and John Jay Cross River, teams that Pleasantville has seen as of late, those bigger schools still want to continue the series. And that speaks a lot to what Pleasantville has built, similarly to Bronxville prior to it, with matchups against Garden City and Bridgewater Raritan, matchups against a school like Lakeland Panis this year, Yorktown in the past, Greenwich out of the FCAC. These schools aren't just great small school lacrosse teams. They are just great lacrosse teams and budding programs. Bronxville has gotten to the top in 2014. Pleasantville had their season end in the state semifinals by an 18-1 Cold Spring Harbor team by just 2 goals. Seahawks, the 2-time defending champs, beating John Jay earlier this year. 1:25 to go. Here's Cohen unsettled after the Bronxville turnover. Broncos get it back, and Dylan James picks it up. Hard ride from Coleman. James getting knocked and losing the ball. Danielle comes up with it, approaching a minute to go. McDermott trying to add to his 4-goal tally. Panthers turn it over. But Valley up next for Pleasantville, on the road for Briarcliff, at Briarcliff for the Broncos. Loose ball push with 39 seconds to go. So Ryan Albergine had 4 of the 5 goals for Bronxville in the first half, outscoring Pleasantville all on his own. And then Alston Terry and George Daskalakis took over scoring-wise in the second half for what will go down as a complete performance, backboned by James Swartz. .15 seconds to go. Pleasantville maintains possession. McDermott spinning inside. Swartz, another denial. Ball ricochets out with just seconds to go. And Bronxville will end its 4-game losing streak to the Panthers and celebrate like this game means something, which it does. Career win 150 for Tim Horgan and company in their 10th year, and a victory to celebrate for sure. Only time these two teams can play this year. Bronxville gets a small measure of revenge for how their season has ended the last 2 years. And another marquee early season win for the Broncos, who remain undefeated in Section 1. They improved to 6-1 on this season. Pleasantville drops to 4-3. They've lost their last 3 straight. And in a matchup of top 10 teams in the Hudson Valley, it is Bronxville taking down Pleasantville 12-6 on News 12 Varsity. 12-6, Bronxville doubling up Pleasantville in the first and only matchup of the season between these two small school powers. James Swartz is joining us after the game after another strong performance. The senior leadership, Coach Horgan saying this year, has made the difference early in the season. What's your take?
It's definitely been very important. Era and I and Andrew, the 3 captains, have definitely, we met before the season, and we just decided that team chemistry was the biggest thing, because last year we just didn't have it, and we've been working effortlessly to try and get the team to mesh more, making sure the freshmen feel welcome on the team and making sure everyone's just having a good time. It makes practice much more fun, much more enjoyable, and we get a lot more out of it.
Rivalries that build from competition are intense, and your rivalry with Pleasantville has built over the last 4 seasons. What is it like to finally get a win over them?
Well, I mean, as I said, it's my 5th time playing against them, and my first win. Lost 4 times. I think 3 of them were by 1 goal. So it's a huge win for us.
In addition to the meshing and the senior leadership, the goalie position is yours. Going into the game knowing that you're going to play all 48 minutes, how has that changed your approach, if at all?
It's definitely a huge boost, because the last 2 seasons I've split time with the old goalie Andrew Harwood. He was the grade above me. He's playing at Colorado College, apparently playing great. So he was a great goalie, so we split time. But being able to go in, I know I'm playing throughout the day, got myself in the mindset, and second half comes around when I normally start playing, and I'm already in the zone, so it's definitely very helpful.
You're a veteran of this rivalry. Ryan inserted himself in a big way today. What was it like to watch that performance?
Love that kid. Watching him put up 4 goals, I think he had our first 3. Ooh, it's so great to be. It just gives the team such a boost to be up by however many, and the fact that he scored 4 goals in the first half. We only gave up 2. He was our momentum swing.
Your coach has been here 10 years, 150th win against a big rival. I think he avoided a Gatorade bath, but I'm sure there's a celebration somewhere in line for him.
We'll think of something, probably at the next practice.
All right, we'll have to keep look. James, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
12-6 the final, the 4-game losing streak for Bronxville against Pleasantville, a thing of the past, as the Broncos come away with a 6-goal win here at home. For our producer, Josh Noble, I'm David Resnick. Thanks so much for joining us on News 12 Varsity Game Time.